Hey folks, this is Vint with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to quickly check out Tabletop Playground. It's important to stress that what you're looking at here is a preview build, so everything that you're about to see is subject to change. For those of you watching my channel, you'll know that I've covered Tabletop Simulator a lot lately because, well, I recently rediscovered it and found a bunch of games I really enjoyed playing on it. And this game, Tabletop Playground, seems to be heavily inspired by Tabletop Simulator. There are a couple of things that concern me, and again, keep in mind this is a preview build. There's no workshop area under the Steam store page. Typically, if you go to a Steam store page and you go to the community hub, sometimes there will be a workshop tab or button that you can click on, and then you can view everyone's creations. Tabletop Playground doesn't have that. And I even looked at the Steam store page and read through the features that were listed right on the front page. I did not see workshop support mentioned anywhere in the description. It did mention something about powerful in-game editing, which there is an in-game editor here, but it actually didn't say how to share that with the world. So whether or not you can or can't or will be able to in the future is a different story. It's up in the air. I couldn't tell you that. And in all honesty, I think it needs to happen. I mean, if you're going to release a tabletop simulator-like game that doesn't offer a way to share your creations with other people, why would you bother playing it at all? I mean, if you've got a game already out there that can do all of these things and you release a game that can only do maybe a quarter of what the other product can, it's not going to be very successful. And I'm not trying to be mean, I'm just trying to say, if you want this game to compete with the big boys, then you need to offer as many options or as features as those other ones, or even more, in order for it to stand apart. Just my opinion. So, as far as like the controls and everything else here, it's not bad. It's very akin to Tabletop Simulator. Like Tab will arrow at something, like it'll create an arrow. If I hit Alt and hold that in over while I'm hovering over a piece, it'll zoom in on that piece. The best way is for me to show you the tutorial, and I'm not going to read off everything to you, but it will go through all the different features that this game has introduced me to. So I'm just going to quickly run through a lot of this stuff. Like here's an example of some of that. If I hold in Alt, for example, while I'm hovering over it, you can see that it does that. I can mouse wheel up and down, very similar to Tabletop Simulator, to zoom in on the object. So I like that. It's cool. Again, tabbing creates an arrow. You Tabletop Simulator people know what I'm talking about. So you can move the table, or you can move the camera around with right mouse button, control and mouse wheel. You can raise or lower the object from like the height of the table. F to return objects to their default location, so on. Next. Hold control while clicking objects to modify. Yeah, so you can drag entire selections like that. You can control click to remove some from that selection. Spacebar to zoom in on wherever your cursor is, so you can do something like that. Gets me dizzy. Let's see. Next. View multiplayer game, hold T to talk to other players in voice integrated chat. There's a chat thing on the bottom left-hand corner that you can open up. That's the basic tutorial, so let's move on to something a bit more advanced. There's intermediate. Alright, so there's dice. Just like in Tabletop Simulator, you can continue hitting R to just roll them. It seems to be, like, everything seems to weigh more in this game compared to Tabletop Simulator. Like, things don't bounce as much. In Tabletop Simulator, if I pick up a die and roll it like that, it would continue bouncing, like sort of like the gravity was turned off. In here, like, objects all weigh 3,000 pounds and stop almost immediately. I don't like that. There should be some bounce to this, personally. That's just my opinion. Next, let's go ahead and open up the chat bubble. So if you look on the bottom left-hand corner, you can actually see the chat log there. If I hit R, it should come up with what I'm doing. Yeah, roll the dice. It'll show up 41 there. If I hover over a die, it'll say what all the different values are and what they all add up to. I can also change the die face by hitting 2, 3, 4. You guys know this. There are containers in this game. There are random containers. There's infinite random containers, queue containers, and stack containers. So if I put this red thing in there, I can just continuously spawn it because it was in this infinite random container. Whereas this one, it's limited by what you put in there. Queue container, stack container, you get the idea. Let's just click past all of that. You can flip things, you can rotate, flip. What else we got going on here? Oh yeah, here's the card part of it. Flip cards. You can also deal cards to yourself. We'll get that into the next tutorial, I think. Shuffle is R. So in Tabletop Simulator, you had the cards spinning around on the inside of the deck. In this case, it's more realistic, I think, this here. But, you know. Alright, so here's holders. The way the game works with this, it's very similar to Tabletop Simulator. Instead of it being an invisible blue area or invisible green area like in Tabletop Simulator, there's these little card holders, and depending on your player color, you can only see, your color. So for example, I'm blue right now. I cannot see these flipped up cards here on green. This appears to be a neutral color. I can see that. If you look on the very bottom of your screen, you'll see the cards you currently have selected there. To draw more, you just hover over the deck and hit like 2 to draw 2 cards, or 5 to draw 5 cards, and so on. And again, they all appear down there. Alright, you can rotate, Control R, yeah, whatever. Next. Okay, so that was the intermediate tutorial. Let's go ahead and move on to the advanced one. And normally I don't do this, but I want to make sure I'm covering everything that the game is showing me. So, measure mode, it's kind of like the ruler in Tabletop Simulator. You hit M, you'll enter measure mode, and you'll be able to measure distances. And I believe it shows up in chat, possibly. Could be wrong. Okay, M to return to regular mode. Some things cannot be moved. Like this board back here is set not to move. You can hit G to enter ground mode, and then you'll be able to move it. So it's kind of like the lock feature in Tabletop Simulator, but it's just a special mode that you enable on or off. Right-click for player options. If I click on player options, I can change my player color from here. Show card hand, show history, hold height, cursor mode, camera view, that kind of thing. So if I change my player color here, for example, if I make it purple, now these cards over here, I can't see them because I'm not blue anymore. So again, it's very heavily inspired. Just take a drink every time I say inspired by Tabletop Simulator. Alright, you can modify appearance of things. Let's enter ground mode. So if I right-click on this board and click on appearance, I can change the colors pretty easily here. I like that. Default color, player color, so on. You can also open up your object library, and from here you can add new things. Cards, there's chips, deck of cards, under chess, dice, all of that. Game boards, there's 4 of them. That looks like, I'm not sure what that is. That's Go. 9 Men's Morris. Never played that one. There's chests there. Yeah. It'd be cool if the game included, like, instead of me having to change the color manually, just have a pawn menu and then have all the different colors of pawns, just like 20 to 30 different colors. That way I don't have to sit here for a couple of hours creating all these different pieces and then changing their color, re-adding them to the... It's just a pain. It'd be nice to have all of these things available to me right out of the gate. Session options, locked physics, always snap, leftover objects, permissions, ping, all that. Notes, report bug, And I think that's it. Okay, so yeah, that's the skinny on this one so far. If I hit start game, I can password protect it, choose up to 8 players. I can choose a background. If I chose Milky Way, for example, start with empty table. We'll just do, say, this one here. Now, this is annoying back here. This white area. I don't know how to change that. Another thing that I don't like, can I load a state? Classic chess. Okay. Clearly there's some malfunction here. The camera just decided, no, we're not going to work with this. Okay, let's get out of here then. Again, preview build, I want to stress that. Let's start a new game. Load game, and we'll do chess, and this should work. Alright, there we go. Now I can do this. Now, one thing I have not managed to figure out, like, okay, there's the pawn, right? Now, if I accidentally overturn it, now it's stuck in that orientation. Okay, so F does that, but if you didn't know that, it should automatically snap back to its original orientation, in my opinion. I don't like the fact that it doesn't do that. It's annoying, but it is what it is. So yeah, like, I don't want to say that this game is bad. It's just, preview-wise, it doesn't look promising. If it were to release right now, it would stand no chance against Tabletop Simulator or even Tabletopia. I don't like Tabletopia. The games crash on me. Things don't load correctly. It's just, I don't like it compared to Tabletop Simulator. That's just my opinion. This game has miles to go before it can even hold a candle to Tabletop Simulator. And like I said, the biggest thing that concerns me, yes, there's an in-game editor. It advertises a lot of different ways to customize your experience. That being said, there needs to be a workshop option. If there's not, I can't see this doing very well. But that's just my suggestion, my opinion. Tabletop Playground, if you guys haven't already, subscribed to me on Twitch and YouTube. That way you can stay up to date with any new content I'm going to publish. This is Vince. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.